I am back to talk the latest week in Little Brother after the double eviction here with Patty and Mike. Let's go ahead and kick it off with Patty this week. He has a lovely view for us this week.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the best of the week for you? Who was the worst of the week?
Oh, why do you hit me with that already? Which is fine.
I
Um,
love to hit you with that.
I just wanted to make note that the show lost 2/3 of its testosterone production this week. But other than that, I what was the question again? This view is just really killing me
Best
right
and
now.
worst. Best and worst.
All right. I'm gonna say Alex had a best week for me. Anyone who can, everybody wanted to work with him, and if anybody could squirm from a cockroach to almost like an enforcer in the series in 6 to 8 short weeks, he definitely has my vote. I also like how he lied to Megan kind of through the contest, and yeah, it was fun for me, and I think Leanna still a cheater and a liar, and we're not bitter here, but I think she had a wonderful week with getting more blood on her hands, right?
Yeah, she did.
So, and I don't know if you guys noticed this. Isn't she one contest away from being tying the record for winning the most? I want to say in this case HOHs
The
or
record for
had a
what?
house.
Like
Like
Big Brother in general?
oh no, I'm just saying she's one more and she'll tie the record for OCS comps, right? In one season wins.
Honestly, I have no idea what the record
I feel
is.
like, is that not me in online battle? Because I
Don't
won a
ask me.
lot.
I thought it was 4 in one season. If it's 4 indeed, she'll tie 4 comps this season, right?
Mike, you'll have to go back and watch the online battle and see if you have the record.
I don't know either. That's why I'm asking the host right now. You get it down this week, Nick.
I don't keep track of who wins the most competitions. This
But
isn't the
anyway,
NFL.
okay. Anyway, then I'm just gonna move on and say Meg survived the block. That she gave some really solid pitches and rational pitches. Went from being on the block to safe for another week. Those are my 3 ups this week. 3 best games. Mike will probably disagree, but it's fine with me because I got this awesome view. He doesn't.
He has a great piano in the background, though.
Yeah. That's 100%.
Go ahead, Mike. Who's your best, I guess?
Oh man, it's gonna pay me to say it, but Meg is somehow still just snowing everybody. So I'm gonna give her a big up, and then I'm also going to give a big up to Dee Dee winning both vetoes. The first veto, I think, way more crucial for her game. She won it when she needed to win it. Respect on that aspect. So, are we doing 3? Are we picking 3?
I mean, how about the worst from your guys?
Okay. You want to do worst first, Patty, or you want me to?
You could do the worst, Mike. It's fine.
Okay, so ignoring the boot, obviously. Oh, it's tough because I feel like I could see any of these people winning at this point. Really. Worst. Probably gonna have to give it to. I don't want to say Leanna, but Leanna's made a huge target of herself. I'll be surprised if they let her get to the end. She actually did good and she got at her target, but I don't know who's gonna let her get to the end. Monet's kind of faded into the background and done a really good job of that. She just needs to not fade so far into the background that she loses respect, because she's playing a quietly good game, but it can be hard to push a quietly good game to a jury.
That's fair.
Is she gonna tie Nav's just obscurity thing this season? Because Nav gets it down for me this week. Not mainly because he was eliminated. It was 30% of the cast didn't even know he was still playing. Kind of forgot about him. To go from one of the most forgettable players of the season and to being put up on the block and eliminated, for me, is not a good week. If she can manage to stay in the middle and kind of fall out of the radar of everyone and just play a solid game, it may go against her in her resume, but tactically, if she can keep on doing this without having a big target on her back, even though I think a couple times her names were being said for possible noms in the upcoming weeks, but I don't know. So if she do that, that'd be fantastic. I also have mid and or D in the middle this week as well for me. I would have gave her up, but that fucking I want to say that Minions pajamas she was wearing. She was making fun of me for wearing my white Shinigami mask. That Minion thing was just total next level bullshit for me and a little less forgivable. But you also get it down this week, Nick. Those idiosyncratic moments where your beard was short and long within the interviews. I don't know if anybody noticed that.
Well, that's how time works, Patty.
Oh no, that within 20 minutes, it was like long beard, short beard, long
well,
beard.
no, what I'm
short
saying,
beard.
I recorded the game in January, February, then recorded the edited the episodes in the summer. So.
Oh, so okay, so
He's
But
just
I'll
a
take
narrator.
I'll take the down.
no, it's fine. It's probably because I dropped a little psilocybin while I was watching those episodes anyway. So Patty gets up.
Well, let's jump into the double eviction. I think, you said Monet could be down because of the same thing in Nav. I think my advice would be don't miss a competition because I think that could definitely hurt your game, and Nav had to miss your competition. But overall thoughts on the double eviction. Days, the big topic, of course.
Dazed. I feel like he out overthought himself, and like just voting out Nav was not the move. Like, it's obvious now that he's gone, granted, but like as it was happening, I'm like, what are you doing? I literally left telling everyone not to trust Meg, and now you're trusting Meg. And how did that work out for you? How did that work out? Like Daze is a smart guy. He should have seen this coming a mile away. I literally don't understand how he thought. I don't know. I don't really get the thought process. I mean, Nav is there. He's not like. It was wild to me. That he did that because Nav would have voted to keep him. I'm like almost certain, and he just threw that away. Granted, he probably still would have went in the tie, but like everything looks a little different with like a different composition of people, maybe. So.
Yeah, I was struggling to find his thought process during when this was actually happening. I mean, in confessionals, I didn't have any questions for him because I didn't know what he was thinking during this round.
Nobody, like, he voted with Meg, and then he sells it as a sympathy vote. What are you doing? Like, make a deal. What happened to deals? Be like, if I vote to save you here, vote to save me next time. Like, do something. Like, instead he was like, I don't know. My vote doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter. My vote doesn't matter. Like, what are you doing? Like, there's 5 votes. What do you mean your vote doesn't matter?
Yeah, it's too late in the game to talk about sympathy votes.
I'm so like just people who throw their votes away or think they're throwing their votes away. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are people so obsessed with like throwing votes, sympathy votes? Like, oh, I don't want to vote in the majority, or I do want to vote in the majority. Like, what are you doing? Just vote who you would trust more. And he didn't really think that one through.
Patty, did you follow the thought process?
I try to, but all I can hear in my head right now is next on Little Brother. So this is what I hear every time you ask me these questions, and I had to do that at least once. My wife said I couldn't squeeze it in, but Dave seemed pretty methodical and pretty even with his percentages when he confronted Alex and said there's such and such a percentage chance if you go with this scenario versus this scenario. For him to come out and go from that strategic standpoint to saying, Meg, here's my sympathy vote. I don't clearly understand that. I don't clearly understand why he probably voted one of his closest allies out at this point as well, including with D. And it was kind of my creepy moment for days this week is when D pulled him off the block and he's like, I love you. That shit was super creepy for me. But to see D win 2 powers of veto within 2 games and see her not use it on him the second time because he did the praying hands thing, to see her kind of jump ship and abandon him on there. So it's great to kind of try to understand their tactics and their mindsets at the time they're playing, but as we can see in the comments and everything else, that might necessarily have not aligned up with how they were thinking at the moment.
Yeah, there's the comment section. Oh, everybody talking about the election. There's going to be a red wave. There's going to be a red wave. The only red wave you're going to find is the comments of this goddamn Little Brother videos from the bloodbath that everybody brings in the comments. There's 82 comments on the episode. 82 comments.
I'm not sure how to take that. Are we like provoking them enough where they feel the need to respond, or is it getting that saucy for everybody that they feel like they have to voice their opinions wrong or right?
There's a lot
They're
of
mad at each other. They're mad at each other. Like I guess I got out when the going was good. Like I don't feel the need to yell at anybody in the comments. Like and they're out here like really duking it out.
Yes, and then they bring viewers into it, and it gets even worse.
This is why I think you really need to push the castmates this season for a reunion, because I'm thinking this kind of reunion, including Deleon, and all this other stuff, I think this would produce some fruit that none of us have seen before. So make it happen, Nick.
I'm trying my darndest. I'm going to do it. I just don't know how many people are going to show up.
And me and Mike were doing our best to fan the flames last week, and we got a couple of comments, but we didn't get that full scale forest fire that I was looking for. Maybe we'll make it happen this week.
What happened in the comments to this last episode? I feel like there's definitely two extremes on talking about Days game, and I don't think it's so fucking black and white, pun intended. I think it's a little more complex than that. But also on the other side, I feel like some people are saying Days was logical this round, and I'm like, okay.
That's a good one.
I don't know
That's
about
a really
that.
good one.
I feel like this is what happened, honestly, and I think they could say what they want. They both might disagree, but I think Meg played the hell out of Days in this game. This entire game, I feel like Meg played the shit out of Days.
That's true if you look at it from that perspective. To see them sit together and kind of give their pitches to Monet. She did seem to play a little bit harder and kind of throw just let the water run off her ass like a duck at that point, and it all seemed to be splashing in Days' direction.
What do you go ahead, Mike?
No, it's just nothing. Let's just move on.
Oh, is it? Are you going off the whole? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all, Mike.
No,
Okay.
Please bring the drama. I'm team good TV. It's just like really what happened is like Days got embarrassed by Meg. Like it's like he's a good player and I respect his game, but he got made to look like a fool. Like if this was like a basketball game, Meg just like crossed him and he's like on the floor. Like what happened? It's kind of sad.
Well, I don't think he got embarrassed. I think he was just okay. He got embarrassed. I'm not going to even lie.
He voted out his probably closest ally.
I know.
Granted, Nav didn't want to go to the final two with him, but there was no way Nav was cutting him now. Like Nav's a really smart guy. Like he literally cut an ally for someone who was really never with him, just because they shared the block together for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and you went back and said don't trust Meg last week. So
we had a final three, and he saw how it went for me. And then the first chance she gets to vote Days, like the first time Days on the block, she also votes Days. If only he would have had a warning that this would have happened. I mean, like, take people at their actions, not their word. Take people at their actions. Look at what she did to me. Look at what she did to Days. He should have learned from me. Like, you should try and learn from other people's mistakes before it's you going home. If you have the opportunity to do that, and Days did not learn from that, it's rough.
Well, let's move on to Monet. How do you feel about her HOH this round overall? She didn't get her target out, or at least during her HOH, she didn't.
She had a good plan. It's just like when you have like one person that just under no circumstances can win veto, and they win veto, kind of sucks. Like this is another reason I put Monet kind of in like the bad category. Is like Meg like outplayed her to get her to target Dee Dee over Fan Guy or Nav. Like it was Nav, but she like all it took was like 2 sentences from Meg, and she was like, you know what? Yeah, Didi's the great idea. I'm gonna do that. No one can talk me out of this now. Like what? What? Like you weren't even like really thinking about her, and then okay, I don't know. It's I feel like Monet's tried to get a thread out by like backdooring Didi, but didn't want to say I want to get a thread out because she's trying to be like I'm just it's an honesty thing. I'm just taking people with their honesty, but like everyone's clocked Didi as a threat by this point. So
How do you feel about Monet's HOH, Patty?
I feel like this. Just kidding. You know how she froze. That was my imitation of her freezing. I kind of love the whole she's doing the HOH meetings and the noms in the bathroom at this restaurant.
Yes.
How fitting for this point of the season. I said last week it was going to dog shit, and all of a sudden we're in the toilet. I told you a couple weeks ago, don't call me Nostradamus. Some of the shit has
There was
happened.
a flush and everything.
Yeah, and even I'm sorry, Fan Guy said Flounder this week, so props to Patty's for calling Flounder out 2 weeks ago. I think her HOH was a little bit cleaner than last time. Although Meg did have a big part, and as I said last week, Leanna chirping in her ear would also have an integral part in how this shapes up. So it was kind of predictable that Days was going to be going, and I even said last week too, if you remember, that Meg and Days was going to be in this musical chair scenario, and there they were. And I don't know. Patty may not seem like he knows what he's talking about sometimes, but sometimes he finds that nail and hits it on the head. But I like what she did. I kind of like how she stood up to Leanna and Alex when they were talking about the votes. And Leanna's like, well, you know, if you get rid of D, that's a vote for us. And she actually stood her ground and said, you know, I'm still going to nominate. I'm going to still renom D. So it's nice to see has a little bit more resolve this time, although she's still influenced by fellow competitors' words, but it didn't seem as just as submissive as it did the last time around for me.
Yeah, I do like those dynamics where Monet and Didi are kind of in the same alliance, but like they also want each other out, and they don't really care that. I don't think both of them care that Leanna and Alex don't want them to go after each other. They kind of want to go after each other, I feel like.
And they did kind of both go at each other. They kind of mentioned the whole women's alliance thing. Then Dee mentioned the renoms yesterday, and it was just uncomfortable for all, including me sitting on my couch with my wife.
Well, Didi and Alex are getting a lot of praise in the comments about, you know, being past winners and doing good right now. Mike, how are you feeling about the two winners left in the games?
I don't know. It was like every non-winner's priority to get rid of the winners for the first chunk of time in this game. And now it's suddenly not. Now
I feel like D has risen as a.
Well, everyone's targeting D, but no one really.
Alex is the opposite. He started being this target, and now.
Yeah, don't ask me how Alex has done that. Like, I can't even evaluate his whether he's doing good or doing bad because I feel like the other shoe has to drop at some point, right? Right?
You would think. I mean, how do you feel about his votes in this past one? I feel like they were a little messy. He voted for Meg and voted for Vanga, and they're both still in the game.
Yeah. But has anyone really clocked that? Like, no one believed Dazed, so
True.
You know, he might get away with this one.
And
Nav, the first one.
And Nav was still like kind of questioning it last night who he thought voted him out versus that either. So I think a lot of people are voting under the radar without getting stuck up in that little trap there. But I'm waiting for it to all come out because somebody's gonna blab.
How do you feel about Didi right now?
I think her or Fan Guy need to win this next HOH to be any kind of safe. That's what I think.
You think they're the biggest targets?
I know Liana still is. She's tripping about the first time fan guy took Mike off the block. Still, it was one of her two. He was one of her two noms with the HOH, most recent one. D not being a team player, supposedly, and just being this threat. I think they both have to win to be safe. I don't even know if that's possible. One of them's going to have to win to be safe.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's two competitions. I guess one could win the HOH, one could win the veto.
If that happens, I'll be amazed. I will shit my pants on camera for that one.
How about, I mean, Fan Guy is the last person to touch upon. He had he's playing this more quiet game. He's being a flounder, I suppose. But is that gonna work? He survived this vote against Days, but can he survive other votes?
Mike, is he still washed up?
He is having back problems, poor guy. I think at least he's self-aware enough to know that he's paranoid, because everyone was like, yeah, it's probably Nav, and he's like, it's me, it's gonna be me, don't use it, it's gonna be me, and then he didn't get put up, and he's like, oh, it wasn't me. So I don't know. I just feel like eventually someone's gonna be like, I don't know, he's won a few vetoes, but like the challenge wins are kind of spread out enough that, you know, he might be okay. It's so hard. Like, this game's really fluid. Like, I'm sorry, it's hard to predict because it's very fluid. It's not like although everyone who voted to keep me is just getting picked off one by one. So LOL, that's kind of disappointing. So if there really was a side and it was defined by that moment in the game, one side's doing a little better than the other side.
Yeah, but I mean, I do think it is more fluid. I think every round is more of like a voting block than like an actual alliance, it seems like to me.
You're actually starting to see the stars align with some of these players. You know, all the rumblings about and all the possibilities in the confessionals, and you're starting to see, like, I never thought this would happen. Dee and Alex aligning and saying, you know, they want to be each other's number twos or whatever. Leanna and Alex and Meg and Fanguy, Days and Nav, all this stuff is just actually, it's just been more, I want to say, more outlined this episode. So thank you for giving us those this time instead of leaving us with a shitty cliffhanger like you did last week.
Well, last week I had to edit around concussion.
Yeah.
Things are more pronounced. Long story short, things are starting to take more shape and actually materializing, and you're seeing all the back alley stuff, all the rumors come to fruition this episode around. So thank you for at least giving us those little tidbits of information this time around, Nick.
Well, we are in the final six. After all that information, who do you two think is actually in the best position at final six?
Oh God, this is tough. I feel like it's contradicting myself because I put this person kind of like down, but like Monet seems like she's in the best spot to not get eliminated. Like she's kind of taking the back seat. If someone wants her and her allies out, they're gonna put her up next to probably Leanna, and Leanna should get voted out over her if this cast is being logical. But so I think Monet might actually be okay for a little while, especially because she's no slouch at challenges, and everyone plays vetoes now. So I don't know. That's my prediction for least likely to be eliminated next, most likely to win. Ooh, man. I just feel like Days has started a self-fulfilling prophecy that's going to make it so Alex can't win. Too many targets on DD. Oh God, it might be Meg, because for some reason, despite all my warnings and prognostications on my way out, Meg might be in the best spot to win. Because like Leanna's not targeting her, a lot of other people aren't targeting her. Fanguy's not targeting her. Might be Meg.
Patty, who's in the best position?
I think it's going to be between Dee, Leanna, and Meg. That's what I think. Those are going to be the final three. I like you said, Mike, it's a little too fluid to predict at this point, and I hate to use that word, but I'm seeing Fan Guy bring his self-fulfilling prophecy to the forefront and manifesting that and get eliminated. I think it'll be a race between Alex and Monet to see who can get rid of the snake and the supposed snake handler. And I think Dee, Leanna, and Meg are gonna be in that final three. That's what just judging on how they're behaving right now, and Leanna with the power things, then Dee for her ability to win comps when it's convenient for her, even though she didn't want to win comps. And she said something last night that was interesting to me. She said, I may be a little slow, but I'm not stupid or dumb. So I think Dee's going to pick up the heat and start moving in that direction where she conveniently wins comps for herself to keep herself safe. This is where she's going to go into overdrive.
Well, she did it last round, so she could. Any final thoughts or predictions or, thoughts on the comments, anything for next week?
Was Fan Guy just smelling his tits last night while doing this half the show? I was just curious. He says it was to keep from playing with his hair, but that was just a little too weird for me. Was that his poker face, his new and improved poker face?
Maybe that's what it is.
Was he coughing? I feel like he coughs a lot. I feel like
he coughs because he's always smoking something, so he coughs a lot.
But if he had COVID, he's in his own room, his own safe spot, so no need to cover his face, right? Or wearing a mask. I don't know. Fan Guy's an enigma. I'll leave it at that.
Any final thoughts, Mike?
No, not really. It's like the game's very fluid. I'm very excited to see how this plays out because it's very hard to predict. I don't think any of these people are obvious goats. I don't think anyone is like obviously like, oh, they're definitely playing the best game. They're definitely set themselves up to win. Like it's hard to say who's doing the best and who's doing not the best. But it's a good season, and I'm.
Can I ask a question before we hang up from the three? What did you think of these two comps last week? Just the humming one and the lyrics one?
How would you two have done in the humming one?
Terribly. I mean, I genuinely.
I second that motion.
I would have been like the worst in that challenge. Like, I wouldn't have been able to hum 70% of those songs, and I can't understand humming. Like, I would have got 0 points. I would have walked away 0 points.
Would you have done as bad as Meg?
Did she get a point? Then yeah, I would have done worse than Meg. There's finally a challenge Meg can beat me at. No, there's plenty of challenges she could beat me at. Everyone has different strengths. The humming competition isn't mine. Also, I mean it's okay. Like I had trouble playing along. I like to play along to them. I had trouble because I sucked at it. So,
Did you guess any of the songs, Patty, when they were humming?
I did, and just to make it more legit, I did actually post some of my comments in the comments with whose songs they were as we were playing along. So I tried to validate that, but I think in that competition, the first one, I would have fell somewhere between Mike and Meg.
Half a point.
Yeah, probably. Or that would have been embarrassing for me. But the lyrics one, I haven't listened to a song made post 1998, probably. Like the majority of the stuff I listen to is pre 1998, so I totally would have screwed the pooch on that one.
Would you have wrote Drake for every thing like Band Aid?
Probably.
I'm just not a music guy. I've never. I mean, okay, I'm a music guy. I'm a classical music guy. Like, but I'm not like pop music, any of that. It's just I've never been. And it'll come on the radio, and I'll enjoy it. Like I'm not one of those people who goes, "Ew, pop music." Like it's popular for a reason. But like then you could shut a song off that I just listened to and enjoyed, and be like, "Hey, who sang that?" I'll be like, "I don't know." It'll be like, "What's the song name?" I don't know. Without Shazam, I am useless. Like I'll do songs that have been played since the start of time, and without Shazam, I have no idea who it is.
Yeah, at least for the humming one, you could choose 80s or 90s, Patty.
I think I would have rocked the 80s or 90s, but my God, that was painful to watch. I felt like I had to readjust my hearing aids with that one. A couple of the songs I did get from the lyrics thing, but Patty would have been on the block this week.
Well, Meg was on the block, but she lost that competition, but she survived the double eviction, much to Mike's chagrin. And we will move on to next week. That's all for now.
All right. You guys have a good day. Talk to you.